Hey everybody, this is Rydo, and we are back to another live stream of Hearthstone. Today is Wednesday, April 11th. Please subscribe and click that notification bell. So I kept checking to see if we could open up card packs today, since yesterday was the day in which we could look at the new card packs for the next expansion, but it doesn't seem like that's the case, which... Okay, so I guess maybe Monday or Thursday. I mean, Thursday and Friday seem a little bit unlikely to be days, and Saturday and Sunday seem pretty unlikely to... Here's the new cards, by the way. I've put out videos, one long live stream that got about 50 views, and then individually cut up episodes going through all the new Witchwood, Druid, Hunter, Neutral class cards, every single hero class cards. Not super positive on this expansion. It seems like it's mostly going to be filler, and that probably is going to affect whether we buy classic card packs a lot or if we buy a lot of the new expansion. New updates have changed something, certainly here too. On top of being able to see the cards, no longer is it a red X, at least on my Asian account. It is now a cycle button, which I guess I kind of like that. It works pretty well. And this will be back in less than an hour. So meanwhile, while we are waiting for the Asian account to get the Tavern Brawl, I guess we just need to do regular ranked play. Also take note that these are the new quests we have now. It is no longer 3 victories for 60. Maybe there still is a 3 victories for 60, but instead it's 2 victories for 50. Now it's destroy 25 minions, where I think was destroy 30 or 50 before, and beatdown is now deal 65 damage to the enemy hero instead of what I thought was a harder requirement. And there's a little bit of a counter. 65 is definitely new. Alright. We haven't got the new cards, so there's no building a new deck. So we'll try a couple different Murloc games. Hearthstone deck tracker right now doesn't seem like it wants to work, so we won't be using that today. Apologies for people that love that. I know it can also be it can be very helpful. And I suppose what we'll try and do right now is go through the news in case there is something else that pops up this week. Otherwise, I kind of assume that Monday is going to be the day in which we do the whole card expansions. Whenever the expansion happens, we definitely will only be doing card pack openings and deck rebuilds that day. We'll forego any daily quests unless I absolutely have to do that. That's the plan, at least going forward. I suppose it could be a scenario where we get through card pack openings and deck rebuilds really early, but I seriously doubt that. Speaking of early, I started an hour early today, and man, as soon as I started, I felt tired. I woke up way too early today too, so there's not too much of a surprise there. Gonna go ahead and do this. May seem a little crazy, but we'll do it. So yeah, I want to just burn through the news as much as possible today. I've been having some thoughts of, I don't know, that I'd like some feedback for on my channel. Uh, do you think, as a viewer, as one of the elite few fans of my YouTube channel, or somebody who just happened to randomly end up on this video, and this may be the first one of my videos you've ever seen, do you feel like me running a very basic website that had articles that then relinked to the same videos would be worth the effort? And worth is the key phrase there, because it almost certainly would integrate into Google searches at some small level, and I would get some kind of bump in viewership. I heard somebody claim that they got 5% of their views from their own website. It certainly has some appeal, but it's a lot of work. And the thing about it that makes it more work than it probably is worth is I am definitely not the type of person that wants to write down anything. I pretty much got out of all of my schooling without doing any essays whatsoever, through some major trickery. Like, I just don't write articles. I just don't write essays. That's why I do YouTube, and YouTube actually works for me, is because I don't write. I do not express myself in a written form. I am a verbal person, and only a verbal person. So the idea of me trying to sit down and write articles, even about my own footage, my own videos, which I do like my own stuff, still feels like a total and complete nightmare, and I just wouldn't do it. But what I could do, and almost certainly I would need somebody else to do this, some kind of editor that theoretically I would pay, or I'd love to pay. I could take the automatic closed captions that YouTube creates on videos and then edit that. And my example there, as I was looking at this and thinking about the practicality of this ever being a project, and really that's where I'm approaching it from, is if I became a big YouTuber 4 years from now and hired an editor, would this be a project I would want to give to an editor, or would I give them some other job to do? But as I'm looking at it, an automatic closed caption file seems like it has anywhere between 5,000 at the most to I'm estimating about 1,300 words in it. It's hard to tell because the subtitles files have timestamps in it, and so the word count in my application might be counting every single number as a word. It's definitely tripling the number of lines to about 1,200 lines, so it would be well, I guess 1,200 lines divided by 3 would make it 400 lines, so maybe 400 sentences. That's a decent amount of words to then go through and say, well, half of this or 90% of this is not important information. And because it's the automatic subtitle file, there is also the potential that I say something, it is a worthwhile to keep line of dialogue, then you could re-embed the video specifically to a clip. So if there was a point in a 40-minute video where I go, this section here really is great, then you'd already have that time frame with the subtitles to point to that part or make a screenshot from that part. So, I mean, there is, depending on the crazy amount of potential. I gotta kill something here. Depending on the crazy amount of potential Yeah, the potential time. Sorry, I got quiet there. The crazy amount of potential time you might put into an article. There is a potential. There is possibility there. The door just ever so slightly opens to writing full-on articles like the big mainstream video game media does. Like, in fact, better than some of them do. Of course, I would not be willing to do the garbage that a lot of those sites do, which is just underpay or not pay people, and make aspiring writers spend ridiculous amounts of effort and money in a career that will just never exist. There we go. Do I have anything else I can do? Nope. So I'll take the victory and move on. So yeah. Almost certainly I could make it. I could ask for too much to make it not worth it. If some editor is spending 5 days on every video that I put out, then they'd be spending 5 days on 1 of 5 episodes that come out every weekday. That's not realistic. What would be a realistic amount of time for this to be viable would be, of the 5, maybe 6 videos that come out every day, they would have 5 or 6 articles fully edited, or instead of using the automated subtitles, maybe they would just watch those videos and write their own summaries. Like, all of this boils down to getting words on the website, and a lot of words, so that they would get into the Google, actual Google, not YouTube algorithm, the actual web search. So when people search, say, Hearthstone, they have a higher chance of seeing me. Unfortunately, there's really no promotion algorithm in Google, so if somebody types in Hearthstone alone, they're not going to find my website anyways. But at the very least, it takes my channel in a different way. Like, instead of just being stuck at the forever YouTube or small YouTuber problem of saying, well, the YouTube algorithm doesn't promote small channels, therefore small channels can't grow up. The way YouTube is being run right now is not the way it was run a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, when small YouTubers could become famous. Now it's practically impossible. I do honestly feel like there is a large amount of truth to that, but there's not much benefit to sticking in that mindset and not trying something different. So yeah, that's something I'd like some feedback on, just if anybody imagines themselves an armchair business person. Of course, anything I do, if it's actually me doing it, is probably not going to work. It's just going to be too much of my time being taken up. And I'm already in this scenario where I'm literally just exhausted and overworked, and And so when I don't want to work, it's not because I don't want to work because I want to do something else. It's because I don't want to work on my channel or do anything else. At best, I will, instead of directly falling asleep because of insomnia, I will sit in my bed and watch TV. And TV is pretty bad, so it's just a very passive activity that older and tired people tend to do. But no, that's really video game news, so let's start getting through it. Apparently, Your Gamer has an article. Capcom's Mega Man X Legacy Collection launches in July, coming to the PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. Let's see, do we have a specific day? July 24th. And it will include X, X2, X3, X4, and X5, X6, X7, and X8 will be in the Legacy Collection 2, which implies that they have a kind of high amount of confidence that the first Mega Man X games, 1 through 4, are going to be as popular or more popular than the latest ones, 5 through 8. But I guess that also keeps it just nice and easy and doesn't have some kind of crazy release. And so they must be above 8. So are we approaching Mega Man XX, where it would be 20? Or I guess it would be Mega Man X, which would be 10. This. And then a turn. Some of these Mega Man X games look like just new versions of Mega Man games, and some of these Mega Man X games look like they've gone in slightly different directions. Still not sure if I'm a fan of Mega Man as a game series at all. I'd like to become a fan to it. It says the physical releases for the Legacy collections are going to be $39.99 US, but where apparently both volumes of the collection will be available digitally for $19.99, and it's kind of questionable whether $19.99 is too much for Mega Man games. Like, sure, Mega Man has a legacy and should be mentioned, but I'm not sure if it would. Seems like they may have some new titles on the spinning wheel, like StarCraft Pro. By the way, I'm not sure that many people really want to own it or want to play it. Every now and then I'll watch somebody speedrun Mega Man games, but that's always weirdness too. Next article from Gematsu. Disgaea remake launches on PS4 and Switch on July 26th in Japan. So the it was announced in January as Disgaea Hour of Darkness is now called Disgaea Refined. It'll be PS4 and Switch. It's selling for 9,200 yen. So I went onto Steam and checked to see if Disgaea 1 was on Steam already. It isn't. So I'm hoping Disgaea Refined comes on Steam. It's kind of a weird break up in the order. Like 1 is missing, I think 2 is missing, and then there are I think there's a 3 on Steam, but then there's no 4, and then there's 5. So until Steam has like something closer to a complete collection, I don't see a way to get into that series or even think about getting into a series. In fact, very possibly, like, since I'm pretty sure it's just a Japanese RPG in the first place, I'm not even sure we would be able to get into it anyways over, say, playing the more known Final Fantasy games. If I had a bucket list, I'd probably put play Final Fantasy on it. I wouldn't even think to put play the Disgaea series on it. Also, Disgaea may just get me like in trouble with YouTube because at least this art has some scantily clad demon boy and demon girl on it, so in their usual anime style weirdness. Maybe demon's the wrong term. They may just be elves. They just have pointy ears. There was a complaint filed and asked to be taken up by the FTC. 1 second, I'm gonna cough. That is another thing I should think about, is all the talking I did yesterday certainly put some wear and tear on my voice. It caused me to cough a lot, so wouldn't be an insane thought to wrap up today's streaming a little bit quicker and not talk as much. Maybe go into a early post show and just try to kind of rush through the news. Just to give my voice a break, that might be a good idea. Yeah. Anyways, what I was saying is there's several companies asking the FTC to investigate whether YouTube is illegally collecting information about under 13-year-olds in violation of the COPA law, the Child Online Privacy Act law, with the fact that it pretends like YouTube, this main site, youtube.com, is for 13-year-olds only, and that there are nobody under 13 years old using the site whatsoever. Particularly when you have YouTube Kids, which is its own separate app, but it's still just pulling from the YouTube services. Although, to be fair, they have now announced that they're getting rid of the algorithm completely for hand-picked videos for YouTube Kids, which will only make it more ridiculous the next time somebody finds something that is not appropriate for kids on the YouTube Kids app. But honestly, that should have been what they did in the first place if they were going to make a YouTube Kids app. Trying to rely on terrible algorithms, which is all they've got, and they should know it by now that that's all they've got, wasn't going to work. So, as a content creator who's been harassed, like all content creators, and told that all of these videos must be family friendly and advertiser friendly, which advertiser friendly really in this instance has always just been defined as being family friendly, it's comes as quite a bit of a shock when YouTube in legal brief says, oh, actually you have to be 13 years old to use our service in the first place. There is nobody under 13 on our site. Because then that makes me go, well, then why are you demonetizing something? Why do you have such stringent rules against everything when you're telling me that the youngest mind that anybody on YouTube could possibly corrupt is a 13-year-old? That feels a lot different than telling me what they implied, which is that any person of any age could see your videos. When I look at my Honey Pop series, which I spent effort to censor, I could certainly feel like at least 50% of parents would be okay with watching my specific 15, my specifically censored coverage of Honey Pop, which is a mature game, but it's been censored, so then that mature rating gets lowered, does it not? Like, I really feel like parents would be fine with a 13-year-old seeing it. I totally understand parents not being fine with a 4-year-old seeing that. Even though it's censored. There was still, like, sexually suggestive dialogue in Honey Pop. There was still other things. Like, the line completely changes in my mind, and that is the only line that YouTube has ever made that was not just a goalpost that they move on their own whim. So, I mean, it could go the other way too. If YouTube had come out and said, this is the Council of Censors, this is the Council of Advertiser Friendliness, and they've sent out, they're going to make edicts, they're going to write their own little set of rules, their constitution, and they're going to put little amendments on that, and we're going to get emails as content producers every month saying, here's the new editions of better defining what we find not appropriate for advertisers. I'd be kind of cool with that. I'd be like, okay, so now I know where the line is, and I at least have a better explanation on it. But leaving it to me and then not informing me what the range of the age ranges are of a potential audience, at least in your own mind, is deceptive. So YouTube, I would argue, has been deceptive not only to the producers who thought that they were potentially making content for people under 13. I imagine if I was making content specifically for people under 13 and YouTube told me, actually, you're not, nobody under 13 is allowed to be on our site, then I'd be very upset. If I had made 6,000 videos like the Minecraft Wheels on the Bus experimental video I made a long time ago, if that was all of my content and you told me, oh, there's actually no audience for my content years later, I'd be very upset. Very, very upset. Anyways, I guess that's more of a YouTube rant than anything. Your Gamer has an article, Layers of Fear Taught Me How to Be Scared Again. This sounds like an editorial, and it's talking about a game for really no reason other than the fact that Layers of Fear came out, I believe, for the Switch in a relatively short amount of time ago. Like, very relatively, like 2 or 3 months ago. Moving on, Gematsu has an article, Nippon Ichi Software live action horror adventure Closed Nightmare is going to launch on PS4 and Switch July 19th in Japan. Nippon Ichi, Nippon being the Japanese word for Japan, Ichi being one. That is literally translated to Japan One Software, which I figured I'd show off by showing that I know how to very roughly translate 1-2 words in Japanese. I believe Nippon Ichi's been around for a long time. What is this game though? It says it might be slightly visual novel-y. I mean, you kind of have to be. The game will play out in 4 parts: live action movies, text, exploration, and challenges. So, I mean, best equivalent is it's a point and click adventure with live action movies. That's really all you can do with live action. unless you're just rotoscoping like Mortal Kombat used to do for the first Mortal Kombat, and even that never really worked. Let's see. Anytime you have some of these weirder, less known Japanese horror games, they certainly play to a niche that I'm a fan of the Japanese horror movies. So this probably will come over to the West at some point, if it's popular enough, if it's good enough. I haven't seen a lot of Japanese horror lately, so I'm not sure if that's the current fad that's in. Japanese being very fad-based. We certainly saw that with the Ring and the Japanese versions of the Ring movies, and then the American Western version of the Ring movies that happened in, was that the mid-90s, late 90s? Now a lot of it has moved over to Korean horror movies. Well, it did move over to Korean horror movies. I'm not sure where it is now, if there are any major players in the horror genre. Like Insidious: The Last Key might be the most recent horror movies in theater, and it's pretty much a joke. Alright, so our first game on Steam, which Steam apparently has let us make a different background, is called Survival Games Battle Royale. It has 9 user reviews, came out April 11th. It looks like a Minecraft game. It's a asset flip though. Like anytime you see these Minecraft style games with gun mechanics, you can be 100% certain that they are asset flips. And since we're trying to go faster here, let's just look at the negative ones. None of the negative reviews are even in my language, but the positive reviews, there are only 12 reviews in the first place. $7.49 for what is an asset flip. You know it is. I mean, a real video game producer would not touch a game that looks visual assets that look like Minecraft. They just wouldn't touch it like with a 10-foot pole. So there's even if this game actually isn't an asset flip, it doesn't matter. You still have to assume it is and just move on. Let's see. Next we have a VR game called Exterminate the World that I don't, well, has simplified Chinese and English. Again, it feels like this very possibly is an asset flip, although this time in VR, and seems like you're just picking up things and throwing things in a low polygonal world. 20% off for $4.79. No reviews. I don't see any reason why they'd buy it. Rated M for immature, although using the ESRB and almost certainly didn't. M for mature, I imagine, might sell a game like this better than Hertz sells for a game like this that's uninteresting. There's a ransomware that came up, and I don't know if it was a joke or not, but it said that to unlock your files you had to play PUBG for an hour, and I wonder if people reporting on this maybe hadn't gotten the thought that you could convince somebody that your account is valid on PUBG. Say you're somebody who plans to cheat on a PUBG account, but PUBG has some kind of anti-cheat software that watches you for an hour and makes sure you're a real human. If you locked via some ransomware somebody's computer and made an actual human play the game on your account, you're getting an hour free work out of them to continue to sell stolen accounts, which could get you more money. I'm not saying that's exactly what's happening there, but there is this backdoor way of doing something that seems silly and cutesy and actually making some money off of it. If you're also selling cheating software or cheater accounts for PUBG, which there's a ton of cheating going on. We've got somebody on the chat saying hi, Khalid, I assume is how you pronounce it, that first name. So hi, Khalid. So yeah, don't buy Exterminate the World. You wouldn't buy it anyways. It's a VR game. Next we have one called Deadly Cryptids, which, let's see, when did this come out? This came out April 11th. And like so many other VR games, it looks like it's just a shooting game with monsters slowly approaching you. So many of these VR games are nothing but tech demos. Just nothing at all but tech demos. To be fair, Deadly Cryptids looks realistic, and it looks like something close to Serious Sam. If you were in a Serious Sam desert fighting closer to like horrific aliens instead of silly aliens. Right now it says it has an all-time peak of 1 according to the Steam database. Although, we will talk about it later, Steam is changing its policies possibly to comply with a new European law that says you can no longer by default have checkboxes checked or opt people into anything. People have to explicitly check the box themselves to release any of their private data. It seems like that might expand even to people who are putting their game publicly on Steam, or it could be that Steam database was working by scraping every single Steam user's private information about what games they own and what games they've played. And because now that's going to be kept a lot more private, Steam database is going to not work in the way of being able to tell you who's online now, what was the peak today, and the all-time peak. Inherently, I think there's a way to still do the same things as Steam database does. Just maybe Valve directly needs to do it instead of a third-party site doing it. There's really not stopping anything from Valve anonymizing data a little bit more and saying we know which people are playing which games, but we aren't telling. It might be a good thing in some countries. Like if you're playing Doom, for instance, and there are possibly some countries out there where Doom is not allowed, it's possible that you could be accidentally announcing that you're playing a banned game and you could get in trouble with your local government because of that. That's certainly the way China is trying to go. Anyways, moving on. I don't want to take too much time getting into rants. So let's just keep on closing pages. Gamma Sutra has a blog, How Do You Approach Writing Romances in Games? And I think it's probably more of a email chain where the main writer emailed several other people who made games and then got their responses. So they got the responses from let's Samantha Walschlager, who wrote Guild Wars 2, Mass Effect Andromeda, Star Wars The Old Republic. I'm not sure too many people even got that far in Mass Effect Andromeda to feel that. Hey, before we go into another game, let's go back here and see if is this coming back in an hour? I wonder if I would have to leave the main program to be able to play that. Let's try this Murloc deck. Then they also got the response from Ben Galinas, who wrote Speed Dating for Ghosts, Dragon Age, and Mass Effect. And then Ed Sibley, who wrote Mini Law and Love Island. Then they got Jared Rosen, who wrote The Tingler and Dream Daddy. There's still a lot of love for Dream Daddy in the mainstream media. Although, to be fair, this is just the video game industry writing their own articles, so no surprise there. So 3 people's responses on how they write romances in video games, and you heard all the list of games that were mentioned there, and I can make a pretty blanket statement to say nobody writes romances good in video games. As somebody who has given it considerable thought to play a game in February because of Valentine's Day with any kind of romance in the story, there's no good examples, really. Not at all. You could expand that to say there's no good examples of romance in any entertainment fields. Like, well, examples of romance in music is pretty poor. In movies is pretty poor. A lot of books is pretty poor too. There might be a few good examples in books, but most of them are not written well at all. Just because you have to add the drama, just because the writers don't really have a grasp on what they're writing about that well. Just because half the people that made half of that content have never had a good relationship in their life. But video games in particular are terrible romance things. Maybe you could find a few good romances in Dragon Age. Maybe you could find a few good representations of a romance in Mass Effect 1, but not, I doubt Mass Effect Andromeda had too much. Anyways, skipping on. Let's see, we got somebody Lemon Lovers on the chat going, video games don't have good ramps. Don't have good romances, question mark. My boy Rydo, have you not played through Shovel Knight? Put me in tears, a grown man. True, I haven't played Shovel Knight. Shovel Knight scares me off every time I look at it. Literally, every time I think for a second, maybe I want to play that game, I look at what looks like difficult platforming system in the game, and I get afraid to buy it. I also don't believe I own it, so like, here, let me double check on my Steam library. Like, no, there's Shovel Knight Treasure Trove and Shovel Knight Spectre of Torment, both on my wish list. I assume Treasure Trove is the better game. Like, like, let me see if there's any tags here that even say romance. No, there's not even a tag here that says anything about romance. This is the first time I've ever even heard of Shovel Knight even having a romantic interest. I'm looking at the description. And this guy wants me to play. So I really hope that you're not just teasing me, Lemon Lover. But there's nothing in this sales pitch or description. There's no tag. There's nothing here that says anything about a romance at all. So I've been putting off Shovel Knight just because it looked like it was a slightly difficult puzzler with the 16-bit graphics, which I could certainly live with that and be fine with it, but it looked like it was a kind of difficult game, and I figured it would cause my fingers to cramp up, honestly. But I'll take that under advisement. The sad thing is, if I was to think of a second game that I'd even jokingly think might have romance in it, it's going to be something like Honey Pop. It's going to be a sex game, a dating sim game. Let's see. Lemon Lover came on after that and said, Shovel Knight should be classified as the greatest love story of all time. Don't be afraid to buy Shovel Knight, one of the greatest platforms ever. Alright, well, I'll put it on the list for when I guess the summer sale happens. I guess that's the next time. Although I'm not sure if I'm going to end up buying anything from the summer sale. Finances are just certainly hard to justify to buy any more games for this YouTube channel when so much stuff has changed with YouTube and you're not getting any advertisement income at all. At least before, I was getting a few pennies. I could say, oh, I'm on the path to making enough to cover the amount of games. Now Lemon Lover, I'm going to ask you directly. Is the romance story in Shovel Knight between the main character and the shovel? Or the two main male characters? Not that that would turn me off in any way. In fact, it would only encourage me to play Shovel Knight more. But I would like to know. Lemon Lover said earlier, no, it's not going to say it's a romance, but the story itself does have a romance element to it. Specifically, the ending to the Shovel Knight campaign. Well, that certainly is a bigger problem with the video game industry, that people would think that they have to hide the fact that there's a romance in their story. And that's certainly not what happens in JRPGs. Like, there's almost always somebody who's at least slightly interested in somebody else. Lemon Lover responded, no, it's between the main character and the side character named Shield Knight. Just YouTube search Shovel Knight ending if you don't care about spoilers. I'll take your word for it. I don't need to see the ending when it would have the least impact on me. Because you're giving me a direct recommendation to play a game, which puts it at a much higher chance that I'll focus on playing that game. Moving on, I guess, unless somebody else knows some other romance games. There's still definitely not enough to every year around Valentine's Day play a game. Play 1 to 5 games around Valentine's Day. That's why I played Honey Pop in the first place, and is because I thought, well, for Valentine's Day this will be a funny goof. Instead of playing something that is actually about true romance, let's play something that's really just about being perverted. Let's see. Bomb Slinger, speaking of being perverted, more Sinrin Kagura is going to be announced later today. Next game we have is called Bomb Slinger. It came out the 11th. It has 93% positive reviews of 16 users. It looks like a Bomberman clone. But honestly, that might not be a problem because I don't know if there's a great Bomberman game from Capcom on PC. So it is 20% off for $9.59, which seems like it is a lot to ask. Let's see if we can see some negative reviews. There's only one negative review, and it's all positive elsewise. So the first positive review says, Bomb Slinger is kind of a Bomberman-like concept I've been hoping for years. Enjoying more than a few Bomberman games, but the same old grid arena battles for a single campaign always felt lacking. Bomb Slinger has totally figured out that scenario. It plays more like the original Zelda. You can walk around the map in any direction, with seemingly random designs with each new room you enter. Getting you used to the Bomb Man 4-way explosion mechanic is kind of in an action RPG style game. Really gives you the feel of your own. Also, the 2D 3D pixel art looks great and totally works with the style. Shouldn't have attacked with that. And see, now that I'm trying to slightly speed through looking at games like this, I feel like I could have easily overlooked this game. And I definitely don't want to overlook games when I'm spending the effort to look at every game that comes out on Steam. I think Bomb Slinger is one game to check out if you like Bomberman. You probably still won't be too interested if you don't like Bomberman, and it's still asking a lot from a developer who's never put anything else on Steam, but the graphics are that 16-bit pixel art graphics. But they don't look bad. They look like they are intentionally going for that style. It's hard to judge whether 16-bit pixel graphics are intentionally bad or accidentally bad, certainly. Let's do this and this and this. We have Bench Bro on the chat asking, do you think Murloc decks are gonna die with this rotation? I haven't looked into it completely, but there was definitely the most interesting card that I looked at yesterday in my stream, looking at all the new Witchwood cards. The most interesting card was a card that I think would work very well with Murloc decks, because you play it on your 5th turn and it replaces all your 1-mana minions with legendary cards. So in the instance like this instance where it's past the 5th turn, I haven't won already. Usually on a Murloc deck, if you're gonna win, you're gonna win relatively quickly. So when you fail to achieve your goal the first way, playing this legendary card that replaces all the Murlocs in your deck with random legendaries, I think is going to turn into a very helpful alternative backup strategy. But I didn't do the research to see if possibly some of the key Murlocs are going to go to wild. So it very easily could be a scenario with the next expansion that the only people playing Murlocs are going to be in wild, and the people playing Murlocs in wild are going to be doing something new and interesting. When I do the videos, when we can open card packs, and I open 150 card packs, I'll be doing deck rebuilds, and that will certainly be another indication about what kind of decks, whether Murloc decks can happen or not. I'd be rather upset if Murloc decks did go out of rotation, because then you wouldn't have the fast gamble type of cards that I like to play. Murlocs are always cheap and built around just getting lucky and overpowering your opponent, who would have to have very low powered cards comparatively to defeat you. This is the new Witchwood expansion too, so we can click and apparently drag things now all over the place. I didn't feel like there was enough of a thematic story that was getting explained with the cards. It feels like it's just going to be a creepy woods theme with some random characters for the new expansion. Of course, I imagine if you are a World of Warcraft fan, you might be more hyped for the story. Or you might already know what the story is. Doesn't seem like there's too much interesting around here on the arts side art. I would almost argue too that the side art is just a waste of people's time and it shouldn't be there. If instead of this curve taking up the space, if instead this was flat and there was some more abilities that were introduced, and this was flat and there was some more abilities that were introduced here, I'd much prefer to have more content and more playable actions than just little toys to play with on the rare occasions you're bored. Lemon Lover came back, said, just so you know, Treasure Trove is the full game with all the campaigns, and Spectre Torment is only one of the campaigns. So I'll have to come back and de-wishlist one of those. Let's see if I can do that. Steam is still pretty difficult to fix your wish list and de-wishlist things. So shovel. And see, ever since I started asking people to gift me games on Steam, I've had to more and more I need to be careful to only have the full complete collections on this wish list, so people don't give me, for instance, the first campaign and that's all I play, because I'm sure people won't be too happy about that. Alright, are we ready for the Tavern Brawl? Let's just do this. I think actually the Tavern Brawl victory will get me a card pack and finish this daily quest too. So I really need to. It's gonna get me a classic card pack. We've heard you like random cards. Choose a class and get a randomly filled deck with random cards. Random. whatever. Warlock, I guess. If it's cards we're gonna get, drawing more cards seems like the best deal. Let's see. We've got a game here called Keyboard Guitar Master. It's an MS Paint looking game. It seems to be trying to rip off a game that's going to be available relatively soon. It's 10% off for $4.49. I don't know why you would spend that much money on something that looks like it is just drawn in pencil. It barely has any color in it at all. And of course it's from a developer who has not made any other game, so moving forward. Let me see if I can get their story. I'm trying to read someone's Twitter feed because they tweeted something on to YouTube. But apparently I'm not gonna get it. I think what he tweeted was, how come one of my videos got monetized after it had been demonetized without me filing a request for manual review? And the response from YouTube, from this relatively famous Minecraft streamer called Vintage Beef, YouTube came back to him and says, oh, well, if you're part of the partner program, sometimes we just look at your videos and we'll remonetize them anyways. Which is pretty much what I had already come to know, because what they seem to do is they make the people who look at demonetized videos spend their time doing something, and if they happen to see a recent video that has been caught as potentially offensive, they'll look at it even if nobody has argued that it actually isn't offensive. Meanwhile, they're in the process of trying to get away from using that system and those employees completely. They want to lay off all those people, and instead, or they want to lay off most of those people, instead make content creators just fill out a form saying that they certify what is in their video is advertiser friendly. And so they're putting more work onto the content creator, which isn't going to help one bit for things like Elsagate or any of the problems that YouTube has had ever. Really, because the bad actors, like, I'm sure Logan Paul would have said that his video with the dead body and the tasing of rats, those two videos, I'm sure he would say that those were suitable for advertisers. I'm sure all bad actors will always self-certify as good. Meanwhile, this new system is just going to waste everybody else's time and make an unnecessary excuse for to punish people who are bad actors when they already could have punished them anyways. And they just have to do it. Let's see. So moving on, Senran Kagura Reflections coming to the West this summer. It's otherwise known as Shinobi Refile Senran Kagura. It's a VR game. No, it's not a VR game. It just kind of looks like a VR game, I guess, in this one screenshot. It's coming to the Switch via the Nintendo eShop, which is kind of crazy. Let's see. What kind of game is it, though? Let's see. It's basically a romance simulator. Probably not even so much a visual novel. It's one of those fake girlfriend games that are growing up in popularity in Japan, and we'll see how popular they stay and how long this lasts. Think I might win here. So that was one Senran Kagura game. Let's open the next one. Yes, also Senran Kagura, and of course this would be just an announcement from the same person announcing both things, but they turn them into two different articles on Gematsu. Senran Kagura Burst Renewal coming to the West for the PS4 and PC this fall. Burst Renewal, on the other hand, it is, I believe, a more like a Warriors game. It is part of the standard series, I think, of Senran Kagura games, where you're playing as lady ninjas, anime girl ninjas fighting large groups of people. That would be the main series of games of those I would play, probably. Heck, if I can get away with it, though, I'll play them all. Yeah, we want to split this randomly amongst all players. Well, if we're gonna do that, why don't we do this, and then this, and then do this. And I think that puts us in a good place. I think what might happen is we'll just end up saving a lot of news today for potentially tomorrow or the next day. I guess tomorrow I wouldn't be covering news. If I am going to stream tomorrow, it's because I'd be able to open these card packs, which I'm still not able to open. So yeah, that would be the only reason I stream. I also scheduled this live stream, and I want feedback. I should have asked that a lot earlier. Did anybody subscribe to my channel see that I had scheduled a live stream? Did it in any way help? Did you still get a notification and an announcement? I probably scheduled it way too late, and I think in this system, if I am going to schedule live streams, I'm going to have to schedule them for some ridiculous amount of time that's earlier than a live stream would ever go, somewhere around 2 o'clock in the U.S. Central Time, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So 4 of those 5 cards were extra, which is crazy considering this is my Asian account that still is missing a ton of cards. Now I have 2 gold versions of that card, and 1 of those and 2 of those. Alright, that's good. We'll move over to the European account. That's it for this recording. Stay tuned if you're watching live. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. When you do subscribe to my channel, please make sure you've clicked the notification bell. If you want to support me even further than doing all of that stuff, friend me on Steam and gift me either a game or a gift card. That helps me have games and have content for when instances like this happen and people suggest games to me that I probably should play. That's it for this recording. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.